Because the question is, radical left. Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on? When it comes to politics, I'm a dum-dum.
You do dum-dum, you give me gum-gum.
I don't go voting, even though it's online and it takes no time. I feel like voting just for voting's sake is pointless. I did once though, because I wanted free public transport to stay in my city, but it was a decision based on my personal needs. My co-workers argue passionately that the tax money from the ticket sales could be better used. For example, there is a toilet paper problem in our kindergartens. So thanks to my vote, the kids can't wipe. I could counter-argue that free public transport actually puts less cars on the streets and by that reducing pollution. There is no clear answer, but yeah, I just wanna try for free. I have lived 30 years of my life in ignorant bliss, thinking that the politics are kinda icky. But I do not recommend ignorance. I believe that every man and woman should know the basics of how society works. Politics is a complex system and I would like to make a Yo Basics video about it later, but for now I just want to touch the subject through logic and common sense.
You do it over
because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were
president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
Another American election is around the corner and a lot of people from around the world are watching, even though they cannot vote or they don't really care, but they are tuned in for the entertainment value. Entertainment value.
Everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to
Hey,
make
Joe,
sure.
you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make sure.
Mr. President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that.
United States is a big player and affects not only the lives of the Americans, but the global markets, the wars and politics, and yes, your life as well. So what we see in this reality TV show is actually quite relevant to you, and it's pretty sad. These two candidates will set moves into action that will ripple through generations. There's Joe Biden, who shifts his positions constantly to maintain his popularity, and Donald Trump, who always blames others.
Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
I read an awesome book called Win Bigly that explains how Trump won the first election by using something called weapons-grade persuasion. He's a businessman after all, so he knows the art of the deal. One example is where he uses simple words.
Build that wall, build that wall, build that wall, build that wall, build that wall.
And since most voters are simple people, they can easily relate with Trump. And then experts will start to scratch their heads and make predictions how the wall will look like and how much it's gonna cost. And that in turn makes the media go crazy and point all the cameras to him and say how ridiculous everything is, giving him constant media attention. I highly recommend the book. It brings new light to the world of politics and mass media and shows how it is a game of sorts. So through that book I did gain some respect for Trump because he's a smart player. But now though, I don't know, it's kinda embarrassing.
Build that wall!
But yet again, most of the attention is on him, so I don't know, maybe he's gone ace. Let's forget the names for a moment and let's concentrate on the ideas. United States is not a democracy, it is a republic. Just like Estonia is a republic, my country. So what's the difference? Winston Churchill basically said that democracy is the worst form of government if you exclude all other forms. The word itself comes from ancient Greece. Demos means people, kratos means rule, so basically rule of the people or rule of the majority. So if you build a house and a majority of people say that, hey, that dude's got a great house. Hey, let's go all in his house, live there and party. So, woo! Then bad luck, bro. One of the great philosophers at the time, Socrates, protested against this idea of democracy, explaining that uneducated people who do almost no critical thinking and lack a long-term vision should not decide who rules and which laws should pass. He was put to death by a vote. Ironic. Republic is the rule of law. It protects the minorities and your house from frat parties. Now you don't get to vote on a law directly, but you get to elect officials who represent your interests, and they get to vote on a law. Less control for you, but more rules that will protect you. Or hurt you, depends on how you look at it. So you can imagine how we, the people, the mob, might mess things up by being ignorant and lazy and uneducated. Majority of people are irrational and emotional when it comes to the matter of politics. And Socrates saw that flaw. I don't completely agree that only people with a certain level of IQ can vote, or that there should be some rigorous exam before you're given the right to vote. Although that's not a bad idea. Though I guess people do need delusional control. Voting just for voting's sake because you want something emotionally out of it is a short-term vision. Dan Cahan, professor of psychology at Yale Law School, said democracy is only as effective as the education system that surrounds it. Still, at the end of the day, we have a choice to make. Both parties have good ideas and bad ideas. Democrats are known as the left, or liberal leaning. I like that they support gay marriage, that they want to spend less on military, war is bad, McKay, and make healthcare more available. But I don't like their tax law, where the more you earn, the more you pay. Republicans, on the other hand, are known as the right and more conservative. I love their idea of free market capitalism and job growth. The social and human ideas are based on individual rights and justice, and that taxes should be equal for anyone, and that wages should be set by the free market. But I don't like their idea that the abortion should be illegal. I think it's every woman's right to decide that on their own. But doesn't matter. Trump or Biden, Obama or McCain, Clinton or Bush, Nixon or Kennedy, Republican or Democrat. What I see is that there is an increase of anger and divide between groups of people. The fighting is so fierce and petty and embarrassing.
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
Right, gentlemen, I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the
unprecedented.
court.
We lose the sight of the big picture. We are all in this thing called life together. We all want a better world for our children and grandchildren. But I do believe that the majority of voters are too uneducated to make the correct vote, me included. Definitely me included. And again, there is no point to go and vote just for voting's sake, or even worse, if somebody tells you who to vote for. That's like basically legal. But still, you know, my grandparents are influencing me, my co-workers are influencing me, my wife's parents are influencing me. So what can we do instead, together? Focus on better education. Learn how the system works, and if needed, ask for change. We can better learn to adapt to the changing rules and regulations of our society. We can learn to protect ourselves and find new ways out of our everyday survival. Instead of crying how your neighbor who chose Trump is the cause of all the bad in your world, realize that you can still go on with your life and make better decisions tomorrow. I guess I am urging people to take a step back and realize that this reality TV is not normal. I don't fully understand politics, though I am learning. But even I am sensing that these old patterns are creating more harm than good. That being said, vote for Yoda.